That's heavy.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good, man. And you know, the funny thing is that I've learned to overcome it. And I've had a much, like, I'm much more empowered to be myself now.
Well, I admire that.
Oh, no, it's cool. Dude, let me tell you, it took a long time.
I'm begging anybody out there, before you go and get surgery, before you walk into these hair clubs to someplace, I'm telling you right now, I am $20,000 in the hole, and 10 years of stress, the last 3, an absolutely horrifying existence of stress and pain. And I can promise you, the stress of this hairpiece is 1,000 times more than I would have ever felt if I had just been confident with who I am, dealt with the fact that these are the cards I've been dealt and deal with them and just shave my head. And honestly, like Spencer said, not everyone's there, but that's where I'm at.
Who put this thing together? Me! That's who! Who do I trust? Me!
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality?
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show, 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. We are live from Los Angeles as usual, here with my partner in crime, Joe Tillman, who's live in Vancouver, British Columbia. This is the magic of internet broadcasting, the fact that we essentially look like we are now, after, I mean, it took a few years, but like we're sitting in the same room, I would say. Pretty close.
With a very thin wall behind, in between us. Just
yes.
Very thin.
That's a weird little wall we got there.
It really is. Let's see, hang on. Wait.
I can't figure it out right now. I think I still have a little bit of a concussion.
Right here. Knock, knock.
Anyway.
See?
Anyway. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. This is the Hair Loss Show. We are the Hair Loss Guys. That sounds really corny when I say it, so I'm probably going to stop saying it. I mean, at least at least the Hair Loss Guys thing.
It's like my Instagram is that
is it?
That my Instagram is that hair guy Joe Tillman.
Yeah,
but keep it the Hair Loss Guys.
You're corny as fuck. I mean, I know people are attracted to that.
Well, okay, so.
Anyway, guys, listen, we are here. We've been doing this program. I've been doing this program for about 20 years. Joe has been on the air on a regular basis for at least 4 or 5 years, and has been a contributor to this broadcast. It's got to be for a decade now.
It's been 12 years.
12 years.
Or 12 or 13. I think it was 2005, 2016, or 2006.
I was such a young man, a young, virile, vital human being at the time.
Young whippersnapper.
But guys, we do this program live twice a week now, so that we can provide you with a true service, a service that Joe and I both really believe in. Again, I'm the founder of the American Hair Loss Association. I'm the author of The Bald Truth and The Truth About Women's Hair Loss. I am the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, and I am a guy who's been dealing with hair loss for well over 30 years. Now, if you're actually viewing the show, not listening on iTunes Radio or Stitcher Radio or iHeartRadio or in any of the other audio services that air this live broadcast, you're probably looking at me saying, you've been doing this for 20 years, you've been losing your hair for 30 years, and it still looks like you have hair in your head. What the fuck is up with that? You're wearing a wig? Is that a hair transplant? You know, what's going on? Well, this is a partial sham. I've been lucky enough to essentially really slow the progression of my hair loss using FDA-approved medication, which is finasteride, Propecia, to those of you who don't know what finasteride is. I use the drug, actually, Proscar, but it's the same thing. And I paint my bald spot. And I use a ton of hairspray. The reason we started late today is because I got to the studio late. I had to jump in the shower because it was a hat day for me today, running all my errands. I even took a lunch meeting in a hat. So I just didn't feel like dealing with it. And that's the beauty of being me, I guess. And I had it's summertime here. So I had like a cut-off sleeve shirt and my hat on backwards. And I'm talking business with this guy who sadly is stuck in a sports coat in Los Angeles. There you are,
Sucker.
by the way. Yeah. So we've been doing this for a long time, and the reason we do it live is so that you guys can not only ask us questions about the reality of this really fucked up industry, which is a $3.5 billion a year industry, actually verging on about $4 billion a year, but also to provide content to your hair loss brethren, to share your stories, your experiences, your triumphs, your failures, your angst, your fears about living life as a hair loss sufferer. This is what this program is all about, and frankly, that's why we've been able to maintain our presence the way we have for more than 20 years. We are not here to sell you anything. You want to get a hair transplant, you're scheduled tomorrow to have a hair transplant, and you are concerned about the doctor you may have chosen, ask us. Because if you choose not to go based on the fact that we know you may not have a good outcome, that will be the best money you ever lost on that deposit.
Absolutely. And we've done it before on air. People have called in and said, you know what? I think I'll cancel. I'll never forget, this guy called us from the airport. Remember that?
Dude,
get on the plane.
That was really fucked up. He was actually going to, was he going to Turkey?
Yes.
We got him to not go to Turkey.
Yes.
That's right. He called on the way back. He was in the cab. He was about to get on that plane, and he turned around because he thought about us. Wasn't that it? Wasn't he on the way back?
No. He called from the airport.
Oh, he was actually at the airport.
I remember him saying that he was actually in the terminal.
That's fucking crazy.
And he was looking out the window. He could see the plane that he was supposed to board.
That's right. That is right.
He's on the phone with us, and he was a Norwood. I remember he was a Norwood 6 with average donor, and we asked him, well, have you ever considered shaving your head? And he said, well, that's what I've been doing. And it's like, okay, well, how'd you feel about it? And he's like, it's okay. It's not, it's not the end of the world.
But if I remember correctly, he was doing it for like a decade.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And we're just like, dude, do not get a fucking hair transplant.
And he didn't.
Whatever you do. That's right. He did not. Good for us.
Good for us.
Guys, 888-659-3727. Those of you who were holding on from the beginning of the show and hung up, call back. There are some lines open. We're going to take a call right now. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
George from Staten Island.
Hey, George, what's happening, man?
Not much, guys. I've been busy. How's it going, Joe? How's it been going, guys?
By the way, I can't forget doing this.
Yeah. Oh, no!
My name is
Joe from
George.
Staten Island.
My name is, excuse me. My name is,
Would you like me to reiterate it?
my name is,
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
my name is,
Joe from
George.
Staten Island.
That was pretty good, Joe.
Oh, my gosh.
Poor Joe, you know Joe's listening to the show saying, those motherfuckers are playing my opening for that fucking cat, George.
Exactly.
Well, I'm from New York, too, so...
That's right.
And Joe's using his police connections to look you up.
No.
He's going to find you, man.
Oh, no, please don't tell me that.
He's going to
no.
find you, and he's going to track you down from the comfort of his bed. I'm kidding, Joe. I'm kidding.
I want to start off by saying, no matter how old you are, no one wants to fucking lose their hair. Okay? I mean, I was listening to The Rock, and he said he's bald by choice. Bullshit. His hairline, he was like a 7 head. His forehead was almost...
Dude, he really said that? I mean, he is. He's completely bald by choice, yes. but he's not
Yeah.
bald by choice because the guy had a significantly receding hairline at a young age.
Yeah.
And just happened to be fortunate enough to have the face and the insane body to pull it off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And this is what I told. This is what I mean. I work out 5 days out of 7 days out of the week, sometimes 6 if the gym's open. But do I have a buff body? Yeah, I got a semi-buff body. I look all right. I got like a decent face. But I told my buddy, I was like, I have to work out. If you're bald and fat, you are fucked. You are double fucked.
Dude, if you're bald, old, and fat, you better be rich.
Bald, yeah, you're damn right. And the thing is, I hit the gym. I pump up. I'm in good shape. So now what I do is before I was buzzing my hair, but now I'm using a hand razor, a Bic, and I just Bic it. I put shaving. The sun is out, and I was thinking about. I'm tanning my scalp. I'm pretty dark. I'm about as dark as The Rock. And I'm thinking, well, my friend said if you get SMP, it looks pretty good on darker guys. Is this true, guys?
It can. It could look really good depending on the type of procedure you have, who performs it. And, I'm not a fan of the permanent SMP because, I believe you want to have a choice. Now, what's important to know is, and Joe knows a lot about this as well, he actually brought SMP or trichopigmentation to our attention on this broadcast and to the world's attention how many years ago now?
6 years ago.
6 years ago. Jesus.
Yeah.
I think my personal perspective is if you look good and you're buff, like you say, and you're dark, then you probably still look pretty good. I mean, you're walking around now with a shaved head. How bad is it really? Forget about what you want. Forget about you want your hair back. How has it really affected the way people react to you and the way women react to you?
Right.
Yeah, I'll admit, I mean, does it affect it? Yeah, it does. It does affect me. I can't tell what people think of me. I read about it that bald men are not just less attractive, but are less approachable and are perceived as dominant. They're everything but attractive. And, I'm like, I guess that's me. But here's what I did the other day. So
dominant could be pretty attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want people to fear me. I want to look attractive again, but that's okay.
Dude, some of the hottest chicks love guys who, people fear.
Yeah,
no
and I was cleaning up in my closet, and I had my old Topic solution, my Topic powder.
Yeah.
And all right, so I just sprinkled it on my head, and I drew a hairline there. I put my hair back on before I wash it off. I was like, oh man, I miss that face. It really does look different when you have a hairline there and it puts a frame around your face. But it is what it is. Like I said though, I've been shaving my head and with the Bic, and I notice how fast my hair grows right back. I mean, I'm like, dang it, it's like chia pet,
Yeah.
I would say I'm a Norwood 4.5. I'm a Norwood 4.5. I still have stubble in the front like a widow's peak. The temporal recession, forget that, that's gone. And I would say I've got about maybe 2 inches between my vortex crown and my temple. I mean, but it is what it is. And
so I think you mean your vertex.
Vertex.
Because the vortex is like a black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My vortex. Yeah.
But I will tell you this: if you are committed to the appearance of stubble on your head, since you shave your head already,
right?
And if you're committed to what I believe it should be a relatively conservative hairline, even with trichopigmentation or SMP, depending on your ethnic characteristics and the shape of your face as well. And you're committed to having it redone consistently.
What's redone consistently?
It depends.
Every other month?
It could be, I know a guy who had it done in New York by someone who's really good. He actually is one of the guy's models, and initially he didn't love it. He liked, it was put on too light. He had to have it darkened, and it keeps lightening up. And, he has his moments when he's happy, and he has his moments when he's not. Now, this is a guy who used to wear a hairpiece, and now he's freed from that hairpiece. So for him, it's been life-changing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be, and Joe could speak to this because he has personal experience with it, but it could be anywhere between 4 months, 6 months, a year, depending on your physiology. And also,
right.
you had mentioned that you like to take sun. You like to go in the sun.
Yeah, well, I'm only doing that right now, guys. I'm only doing that to darken my scalp because what I noticed that when I buzz my hair, there was like a lightness around, a lighter shade because that's where you had hair. So now that I've been shaving it with a Bic, I'm evening out the tone around my entire scalp. You get what I'm saying?
No, I totally get it. I totally get it.
Look,
Sure,
let me just say that when you're considering some sort of pigmentation for the scalp, there's a lot to learn. It's just like the hair restoration industry, the hair transplant industry, except for the fact that it is far dirtier as far as the players that are involved. And what I mean by that is you're basically dealing with a lot of tattoo institutions, a lot of people that used to be tattoo artists that have made the transition, and you're dealing with a lot of people that are making claims that, well, I'll put it like this. Okay, here's one of my favorite lines that you'll hear from SMP clinics. We have our own proprietary pigment or ink or whatever they want to call it, and it lasts for up to 7 years. So that sounds great. It sounds awesome. You don't need to touch up for 7 years, or another place will say 10 years. But then you have to ask them this next question. How long have you been in business? 3 years. Then how the fuck do you know that it lasts for 10 years or 7 years?
Right.
Where do you get this? It's like, how can you make that is one of the most asinine things to say by a clinic that's been open for less time than it takes for their pigment supposedly to fade or disappear. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Here are the facts about SMP, okay? The permanent stuff, I have yet to find any source or any sort of practitioner that says that they've got a permanent SMP that doesn't change color with time. They can say it doesn't, but I've yet to see examples of someone that had it 10 years ago and it didn't turn blue or green. Every single one of them, the clinics out there have got these cases, and the claim that it doesn't change color, there's nothing to indicate that that's the case. There's everything to indicate that that's not the case. Lots of people walk around with blue and green heads. I've seen it, and it looks ridiculous.
And anyone claiming that they're using true blacks or like Joe said, these proprietary, that's a tough word for me, pigmentation. I've seen, just like Joe has, so many guys who've fallen for this, who I believe after 3-4 years, and I've seen these guys where not only does the hair look like it has a blue tint or the skin, then they go in and get more work done, and then there's this confluence of color where instead of looking like hair follicles, eventually it turns into this, shaded, the colors bleeding over each other. It could be a real fucking mess, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take a look at this guy's work Friday up in Salt Lake. He said you could drop by and take a look. So I'm gonna take a look and see what his clients look at, how they do it, and before and after. I'm like, I'll take a look at it. I'm not getting it done, but I am looking at it. After sprinkling the topic on my head.
Does he do something that he claims is permanent?
I don't know. I got to take a look at it again. It's in Salt Lake. I'm not too far from there.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll check it out. But my last question is this, guys. Have any of you heard anything in the hair loss industry, or any news, any updates?
There's nothing good going on, except there's some good educational efforts that are happening, but there's nothing really new that's right around the corner.
One thing I learned 2 days ago was that it's never too late to look your best.
And Joe will explain that.
Yeah, I'll explain that.
Yeah.
I'll explain that. But there's nothing new.
Well,
there's nothing.
All right.
Yeah, I mean the key is right
man.
now what we're concentrating on through the IHRS and the American Hair Loss Association and this broadcast obviously is just educating consumers and patients, hair loss consumers, on what the reality is. That's it. Now, there are great blogs out there that talk about all these future hair loss treatments, and they get a tremendous amount of traffic, and they're very popular. I can do that with Bald Truth Talk. I've chosen, I did this a few years ago, to kind of, not necessarily eliminate it, but to discourage that shit. Because I want people to deal with reality. What we have today. I don't want people to put their lives on hold waiting for something that they think is coming down the pike from Japan or from San Diego or from, other places in the U.S. and abroad. Because it's not here yet. It may never come to fruition. That's our reality.
Yep.
Oh, that's true. That's why I shaved my head. I was like, fuck it, just shave the head. Hit the gym. Do I look different? I look way different from what I was with hair. Matter of fact, some people looked at me with my hair on photos and oh wow. I was like, oh, thanks.
Well, here's the thing. There's a guy on YouTube who ended up getting bad SMP. He's a very popular YouTuber, and then has had since have it lasered. Do you know the name of that guy, Joe?
Foos or what's his name? Hang on.
Let's see if we could find him. I think watching his videos could be extremely beneficial to you and kind of give you an idea of what can go wrong.
Fousey.
Okay.
So let's see if we could find it.
Yeah, Fousey. I'm going to put the link in the chat room.
Are you in the chat room?
Yeah. And he actually has a new video where he got new SMP done.
I haven't seen
that. And I just saw it the other day. And he just got he spent the past year getting his old work lasered off. And then he went back into a different place, an actual SMP clinic, whereas before he went to, I think it was a tattoo parlor. And he had actual SMP, not tattoo, done. And it looks better, but it was also really fresh, and it's higher up. It's not so aggressive.
Look, let me tell you, initially this guy looked like he was wearing like a stormtrooper helmet that was tattooed to his head. I mean, it was really bad. It was fucking brutal.
There's a Carlos Boozer. He played for the Bulls, I think, and you can look at it on YouTube. Carlos Boozer hair, and it looks like someone took shoe polish and put it on his scalp, and it looks really ridiculous. In fact, the Charles Barkley was making fun of him, and the other sports commentators did make fun of him. I'm going, oh man, this sucks.
They fucked.
I saw a case so bad. I saw a case so bad. It was like that, where it looked like it was shoe polish on his head, and I saw him in person. Put on some gloves, pressed on his scalp, and it was like ballpoint ink, ballpoint pen ink. Yeah. Coming out of his pores, just squeezing it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. I will definitely take a look at this on Friday. No, I'm not getting it done.
Look, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with shopping with an open eye. Kind of see what's going on. See if you can actually meet clients who are, more than a year out from their initial procedure. And, my advice is if you go this route, the best way to start is with trichopigmentation, because it will fade. It will get to the point where eventually it will just disappear.
I don't mind that, but if something that's permanent and it's fucked up, then that's forget it.
Well, that's the point.
Have you guys heard of the Wade 31606? Anybody heard of this?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Jesus.
It's like that osteoporosis drug.
Yeah. There was just a lot of news about it, just last month.
Yeah. What about it?
Yeah. Now, my friend was telling me, "Oh yeah, that's the cure for hair loss," and I'm going, "No, it's not."
No.
But
no.
yeah, he's
look, there's a lot of drugs out there. There's a lot of they're finding new pathways and new connections to why we're losing our hair, and certain proteins that we need that could either take out, we can remove or replace, that seem to grow hair in mice, so on and so forth. Different drugs that are already on the market that seem to be having this effect. It could take 10 years. It could take 15 years or 20 years. We don't know when this is going to happen.
The good news is that there seems to be an unlimited supply of mice to experiment on.
Yes. And it seems to be relatively easy to grow hair on mice.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, rats.
That's right.
Well, guys, it's good,
all right, man.
Good for hearing you guys, man.
Listen, good luck. Right. Let us know how your experience is, man, and just
okay.
Do not let him talk you into it.
All right, Spencer. All right, Joe.
All right, take care.
Right. Good hearing from you guys.
All
right. 888-659-3727. Give us a call here at The Bald Truth. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Steve from Amelia Island, Florida. How are you tonight?
Hey, Steve. How are you?
Hey, Steve.
You got some fucking pipes, man. What's going on?
I'm on the other side of the country from you. But
yes, you are.
It's a little warmer, a lot more humidity here in the beautiful climate in California, and of course Vancouver is a beautiful place as well.
I like Florida, and I like certain parts of Florida, but I will tell you, I do not miss the humidity of the East Coast. And
because you know what they say, it's not the heat that gets you.
That's right. But I love your fucking tax structure, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
13.5%, 13.5 fucking percent state income tax here in California, that'll kill you.
Wow. Yes, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But hey, geographically, it's the most beautiful place on the planet, in my opinion, California.
You know what? It actually is. You look out my windows, and it's beautiful. But the reality is, if you're actually moving into the city in Los Angeles, Hollywood, places, on the west side, it is become homeless haven, a homeless haven.
Oh,
it's well, New York is getting worse again too, but it's worse than when I've ever lived in New York. So there you go. So what's up? What can we do for you?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to tell you, kudos to the last caller. You never, there's no age at which you accept or like going bald.
No.
There's no question.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Look at that. We're two old fucks doing a hair loss show.
Well, I'll tell you what. Guys, I'll tell you, I'm 64 years old, and I don't know, most of your callers are probably a little younger than me. But I remember when I was 20 years old, I was starting to lose my hair, and I was always hearing the dangling the carrots that, there was a cure right around the corner, and it's been, 45 years?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But my very first program on WABC in New York, we were talking about hair cloning, and I just used air quotes. And we were talking about a doctor in the Netherlands, and we were talking about other findings where, science was working on hair multiplication. This is 20 years ago. And I truly believed, based on my research and the information that I was privy to, that we would be done in 5 years. So I intentionally got into a business that I thought was going to be over in 5 years. I was like, I got to make my money now, man. So I was trying to rush through it, make as much as I could. But this is where we are. We are not much further along than we were 20 years ago.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right. I just quickly tell you my story. I just had a prostatectomy a year ago for prostate cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And yeah, it's actually it turned out well. I'm I think I'm cancer free. I had a robotic surgery. I elected to have the
Da Vinci.
The robotic Da Vinci robotic surgery, as opposed to the radiation. It was sort of like flip a coin, and the rate of survival with both treatments are said to be pretty much the same.
Right.
But anyway, having said that, I had tried Propecia when I was 53, and I believe, Spencer, that's your age now, right?
It is, yes.
I started on it, the brand name, and I had some side effects, and I chickened out. To make a long story short, I dropped it, stopped, and of course, fast forward 13 years later, I had the prostatectomy, and I, basically I'm cancer free, but you know what happens when you have a prostatectomy. There's no way you're gonna be normal down below the waist.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
I mean, I still, you're a little impotent, but everything's great with a pump. But I decided to do myself a sort of a favor. I said, you know what, I'm going to try Proscar. And so I got no prostate, so I didn't have any, when I started about 3 months ago, I didn't have any symptoms at all.
Right.
None at all. I was still able to get the feeling of having, some sensation down below and all of that. So I didn't have anything. So I've started on it, and I've been on it for like probably 3 months. And it's kind of amazing. I think maybe two months, excuse me. And I haven't noticed a whole lot of hair growth, but I've noticed that there's not any shedding, or a lot less shedding, excuse me. And that's kind of neat,
Now, what about the hair that you already have? What about the sides and the back and whatever hair you have left? Do you notice that it has improved in any way?
I think it may be starting to improve. It seems to style a little better. Maybe it's kind of like all growing the same length now. You know how the vellus hairs or the miniaturized hairs start to. It's just hard to get a haircut, because you can't. You just have to go shorter and shorter and shorter every year. But I noticed that it's starting to actually go out a little more.
Now, do you notice any other changes in your body? I mean, now that you're not concerned about sexual side effects?
Yeah, right. No, I did. I thought I had a little brain fog for the first few weeks, but I don't know if it was for real or not. But it has since dissipated if it was brain fog,
right?
To start with, so I'm pretty pleased about that. So,
well, I mean, yours is an interesting story because, like you came on and you said, like George from Staten Island said, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how long you've been losing your hair, it still affects you. You're a guy who just went through having cancer. You had to have your prostate removed. You are now dependent on essentially a prosthetic to have sex. And you're still fucking concerned about your hair.
I know, isn't that amazing?
That tells a fucking story right there, my man.
That's the power of what hair does.
Yeah.
Of
how
really
it fucks us up.
It's so true. Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that the doctor that I had from Shands in Gainesville was able to hit what they call a trifecta.
Yeah.
The first thing is to get rid of your cancer. That's the number one goal. And then the second one is to, be able to be continent. And then the third one is to be able to get an erection. So pretty much they hit that trifecta for me, except I have to use a pump or the injections, which I won't go into that.
Right.
That was weird. Yeah. But the pump works really well. But I just thought I'd do myself a little favor and treat myself to try to keep my hair. I'd lost so much in the last few years. I had a back surgery and everything. I thought, Well, let me go ahead.
First of all, you're really bringing me down. By the way, you know.
How's that?
I need to go get a scotch or something.
Now I'm like, because I'm getting to that point. You know, I'm 53 years old. I told the story. I went out the other night, or about almost 2 weeks ago. Got totally loaded. Did not realize that for whatever reason my body just can't take drinking whiskey anymore, and fucking slammed down. Here's the mark. If you could see it, I don't know if you're watching. Slammed down on my elbow. I feel like I'm slightly concussed. I mean, it was really not a good situation. And I'm thinking, I am no longer who I used to be. And then I hear guys who, you're not that much older than me, dealing with, you had a back surgery, you had your prostate removed. But that's life. That is life, man. That's reality. I mean, you sound in pretty good spirits for going through everything you've gone through.
Yeah, I try to be. You know, I do the best I can, and try not to stay a little positive and do some positive things for other people, and just live your life. You know,
that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. And that's a great attitude, and I think your story is, you know, compelling, at least for the younger guys, to understand that you've been through a lot of shit, and you are still concerned about your hair. And also that it really is never too late to get some benefit from finasteride.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that I was starting to see some benefit from it in terms of, you know, just the fact that there's not shedding. I mean, before, just hair would, you know, fall on me on the pillow and just everywhere. And now it's like, you know, it's not really any big deal. It seems to be helping. I don't know if that's the experience that most people have with it, but is that one of the first things that you would expect?
Clinically, yeah, that's the experience that, you know, 83% of the people who were in the original clinical trials seem to have. So that's a pretty big percentage. Now, while it's been in use all these years, I mean, we don't know the exact numbers, but I would say anyone who has a positive experience with the drug usually will start talking about the cessation of hair loss initially, and then the reversal of miniaturization. They start to notice that the hair that they have on their scalp is more manageable, maybe thicker, just seems to be growing more, you know, in a more robust fashion. And more people than you realize actually grow some hair back where they had or they, you know, their vellus hair starts to reverse the miniaturization process as well, and they may grow in a bald spot. Some guys grow some of their hairline back. It could be pretty significant for those who respond well.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you another quick story. I had gotten a prescription through my dermatologist, and he also has a small hair clinic, you know, with the, what's the new, you guys you talk about. Yeah, all of that. So they're into the Botox for the women and then the hair for the men. But
yeah, dude, first of all, put the fucking brakes on that shit.
Yeah.
As soon as you just said they're into the Botox for the women and the hair for the men, put the brakes on that shit. Does this guy perform the surgery himself?
I'm sorry, he doesn't do this. Well, he does the what's the roller thing with the injections every 3 months. What's that called?
PRP. He does PRP. So he's into the whole fucking game, man. He's doing PRP. He got himself a neograft. He's got the technicians coming in, performing surgery.
He does boobs. He does lips. He does hair. Man, that is like a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
That is the new hair transplant model. And the sad part is, it's very possible that he has a very good staff of technicians that work with him that understand the nuances of hair transplant surgery and who is a candidate, who isn't a candidate. It's very possible that he's not concerned about the fact that he's paying $1 a graft to the company and partnering with the company, and he's not going to try to cut corners for the, you know, because of that, because he knows he's going to have to give the company $2,000 or $3,000. That's all very possible.
Mm-hmm.
But is it likely?
Right.
I don't know. I would say, and I'm not saying that you are, you didn't mention that you were considering surgical hair restoration. But if you are,
No.
Really, you really got to fucking do your homework, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm actually not interested in that. I'm strictly Propecia, and if that works, great, and I'll just drop it from there. Okay. But especially
I was going to say, I was going to drop a reference that you'd understand from the 80s. If that's what you're considering, then do as a flock of seagulls would do: run so far away.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. But I will tell you this: you guys helped me a lot because I've listened to your show a few times. And when I went to the doctor, I went to the dermatologist for something else, another reason. And I just said, hey, by the way, I'd like to try, Propecia or Proscar if it's okay. And he said, no problem at all. In fact, I'll give you the Proscar, the 5 milligram, and what I want you to do is split it in half and take it every day. I go, oh, wait a minute. No. I think you guys have mentioned this can be dose dependent. I don't want to start out high. I'd rather start out low and go and move up. But there's no.
I agree with that.
Data.
Yeah.
Right. And there's no data, right, that shows more than 1 milligrams. There's no benefit to more than 1 milligram.
Well, no, there's no data showing it, but we say that it's dose dependent. Again, we're not physicians, but we have seen in our careers guys who have been taking 1 milligram for a very long period of time, and they seem to, or they claim that their results are waning, and then they up their dosage to say 1.5 milligrams or 2.5 milligrams, and then all of a sudden, they're back on track again. So I believe that it is dose dependent. And
I strongly believe it's dose dependent based on my own clinical experience of 11 years. And I'm always reminded of a case from like 12, 13 years ago where this patient he started out with a full 5 milligram tablet of Proscar, been taking it for 10 years up to that point when he came into our office. And the doctor said, you know what, you don't need to take 5 milligrams. It's not dose dependent. And he switched to 1 milligram.
Yeah.
And he lost everything. It was like
now I was in a different mindset, and I did start off at 5 milligrams a day. That's how I started my therapy back in 1993 or whatever. Or 1994. And then I just chose to, because I was reading a lot about drug loading and intermittent therapy. I just figured I was on this for a long enough period of time, and I lowered my intake of the drug to the point where I take 1 5 milligram dose once a week. And it has seemed to have maintained my results. So, I'm very lucky in that respect. But I've heard many stories like Joe's. I have a friend, actually a guy that I grew up with, who was initially prescribed 5 milligrams a day, and he has chosen not to get off the drug, not to do what I do, not to lower his dosage. And he has maintained his hair from the day that he started taking the drug, which is about 18 years ago.
Wow. That's encouraging.
Yeah. So, but I do agree with your assessment. And guys, hold on. We'll take your calls in a second. And with your decision to start low, you want to start low. You can always go up.
Okay.
But if you can, do your best to cut those pills. And again, I'm not a physician, so you can talk to your doctor about this. But do your best to cut those pills in quarters. It's an odd shaped pill to really fully cut into quarters, and take a quarter of a pill a day. And that's what you've been doing, right?
Yeah, actually, I've believe it or not, I've cut it into 5 sections. One's a little uneven, but I take it a piece every day for 5 days, and then I take another pill out and not cut it for the week.
Interesting.
That's kind of how I do it. And of course, I'm probably taking a little bit off of when you cut it, you lose a little bit. So I'm probably taking less than 1 milligram. Probably taking like closer to 0.75 or something.
And you're still seeing results, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm seeing at least less shedding anyway,
Yeah.
so, which is kind of comforting. So,
well, here's the good news: you have room to up your dosage if you ever choose to, and you're in the unique position where you're not as concerned as other men about sexual function. So, not saying you're not concerned about it, but you got that down. That's all figured out for you.
Right. Actually, it's much more traumatic in your 20s, 30s, and 40s if you're probably taking the drug, because those are you're in your physical prowess years.
Sure.
So but I'm a little bit beyond that, so I don't have that to worry about that you'll see with some of the younger callers and so forth. It's not as much of a big of a deal for me. I just rather have my hair. But,
I hear you, man. Sometimes I just rather have a good meal at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
But, all right, dude. Well, listen, I really appreciate the call. I'm so glad that you're getting past all of your issues, that you're cancer free, and your story is very interesting. And like I said, what's really interesting about it is no matter what you've been through, no matter how old you are still concerned about your hair. And I think that resonates with all of our listeners.
Yep, it does. Hey, guys, thanks for taking my call.
You
really
got
appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks for calling.
Thanks
Take
for
care. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from? Hello.
Hey, Spencer. Hey, Joe. This is Bruce. Hey,
Bruce
from Houston.
Hey, Bruce from Houston. How are you, man?
Hello, Bruce.
Hey, guys. I just called you guys a couple of weeks back about my recent transplant. Yeah. And
you went to hang on. You went to let me think. You went to Bosley.
No. I went.
No?
Actually, I went to the guy y'all keep making fun of. Man, you're kind of.
He doesn't remember. He went to Jesus of Nazareth.
Oh yeah.
No.
Okay.
Not him.
No. They go to him. No. The doctor. All y'all keep making fun of.
The doctor what? Oh, the doctor. Oh, he went to the Jesus of Nazareth's. What would you call him?
Right hand man.
His protege.
Protege. Yeah.
South Florida, Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Huebner. Yeah. Anyway,
and how's it going?
I called. Oh, I'm doing good. I was just at that 3 months and 2 week mark, and I was going to ask you guys because you get a little depressed at that time when you're thinking, oh man, I'm seeing some meaningful growth, but you just think you're just getting started and warmed up. But golly, when you're sitting there waiting and looking all the time in the mirror, and you're not supposed, and you shouldn't do that. You think the time just drags by, and I just kind of.
Dude, wait till you're 3 months. 3 weeks is nothing. Wait till you're 3 months. 3 months is
he is 3 months. He's 3 months. He's 3.5 months. 3 months, 3 weeks.
That's what I said. At 3.5 months, man, it makes sense. Didn't I say that?
Well, I mean,
no.
No, I think you said 3 weeks, but it doesn't matter. But anyway, I'm still getting some growth here, but I guess it's going to take 4, 5, 6 months before I start seeing some better results. I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know.
Well, the way it works is you're going to see, the first signs of life between now and 5 months, and then you're going to have phases where, as it continues to grow in, you're going to notice it's not like you're going to notice new things every day. It's going to be like, it's 3 weeks, I don't see anything new, and then the day after you say that to yourself, you're like, holy shit, wow, okay, yeah, now it's looking fuller. That's just the way it works. It's like watching water boil. It takes forever until you get to that next milestone, which is actually seeing the water boil. So
yeah, you're in a very vulnerable stage right now.
It takes time.
You're in a stage where it's wait and see. And you've been out of the chair for 3.5 months, and you're impatient. And like you said, you're looking all the time. And guys, do me a favor in the chat room. Let me know how the sound is as far as the volume coming through YouTube, because I can't really tell, and we had to change some settings, and we want to make sure that you guys are able to hear everything well.
Are you guys able to hear me well?
Yes, you sound great.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I had a couple other deals too, and I appreciate the confidence here to keep hanging in there with it. But moving on to the finasteride. I had started taking it, and I don't know if you remember, Spencer, you told me how some of the hair that I didn't shed was possibly my native hair, and but I started, it's really embarrassing to talk about it. I'm over 50, and I read where guys over 50, 60 with blood pressure or high cholesterol issues could have some other side effects. And I'm not talking about the libido or anything like that. I'm talking about rashes and stuff. And I don't know, I've never heard y'all talk about that. And I've read about it, but it seems like through their studies, it's such a very low percentage.
Right. What are you getting? What kind of rashes are you getting?
Well, it's embarrassing. I guess it's kind of, and I'm.
Well, we don't know. We can't see your face, dude. We have no idea who you are.
We have no idea who you are. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about down in the growing area.
I mean, I have your phone number, but that's about it. I could check it out if I really wanted to.
Why don't you put that up on the screen, Spencer?
So so you're saying you're getting some rashes down in the groin area?
Yeah.
Have you had them checked out?
No, not because just recently, after I'd used it for about 3 or 4 weeks, it just started, occurring. So
okay, so it wasn't like you were. It wasn't like you went to like a Mexican whorehouse and all of a sudden, a month later or a couple of weeks later.
You didn't just go to Tijuana recently, did you?
Yeah.
No, and I'm married. And I hadn't even been doing nothing there, so I'm old guy.
Well, being married doesn't mean anything. How do you know what your wife's doing, dude?
Yeah.
Well,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But I did lay off of it for about the last week and a half, and it seems to be going away and back to normal. So I just didn't know if y'all ever heard of anything like that. So
well, I haven't actually.
Not specifically, no.
Yeah.
I've heard of a few rare cases, third person, twice removed from someone's cousins on their uncle's side, where a rash has occurred, but nothing in the specific area that you're talking about, like maybe like on their neck, or on their back, or their chest, or something like that. But not in the groin area. I've never heard that before. That's a new one.
Yeah. What? And then also I was going to ask you, Mike. I had before I had done this surgery. I had used to be on the testosterone therapy. I have the low T clinics everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm at that age where actually I got mine tested like several years ago, and it was so low. It was like 160 or something. It was so low. And I didn't know if that in the future, if I got back on a low dose therapy, if that's going to affect anything. So, with the transplanted hair, I don't think it would. Maybe the native, but I mean, at my age, all it's doing is getting me to a normal level.
Well, and that's the thing. There is a, you're like on a razor's edge with that shit. And I know that Alan Bauman is kind of working with some anti-aging doctors and trying to figure out exactly what the best protocol would be. And there's some other doctors out there who are doing it as well. He's not prescribing anti-aging medicine that I'm aware of, or TRT therapy, human growth hormone, or anything like that. I don't have low T. And the fact that they even call it low T, that is a marketing fucking term, by the way, which I hate. And that's why all these clinics, are able to pop up. And even if your testosterone is lower, slightly lower than what is considered to be within normal range, some people actually live their entire lives that way and function completely normally and have no issues whatsoever. Their body just needs that particular type of that testosterone level. But with what you're saying, I think about sometimes, I know that I could benefit from TRT therapy, in the gym especially, or human growth hormone. I know I would be fucking jacked, and I would get my strength back and really, be able to feel like I did in the gym years ago. I choose not to do it because even though I've been on finasteride for so long, because I don't want to take that chance of losing the hair that I've been able to save.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that I won't when I'm 60, It doesn't mean that I won't when I'm 65 or 70, depending on how I'm functioning. But right now, and how old are you?
I'm 51. I'm just right behind you.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's always a possibility. Now, the good news is that usually what you want to stay away from for sure, and again, I'm not a physician, so I'm not giving you medical advice, but what you want to stay away from for sure, which all these guys want to prescribe with TRT or human growth hormone, is DHEA. Every guy that I know that goes on a TRT treatment that adds that's also prescribed DHEA loses hair, and then as soon as they stop the DHEA,
I didn't know that because because that's a big thing everybody takes. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then when they get off the DHEA, I had a neighbor who was doing this, and this guy had no genetic hair loss whatsoever. This guy. He was maybe 47 when he started taking human growth hormone, and he was like really into working out and stuff, and he had low T, and I saw him walking his dog, and I was like, this guy is fucking jacked. I'm like, dude, what are you on, steroids? He said, no, I'm on testosterone replacement treatment, human growth hormone. I'm like, you're on fucking steroids, man. That's what it is.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he did come back to me about 2 months after he started, and said for the first time he's noticing he's dealing with hair loss. And my suggestion was to talk to his doctor about getting off the DHEA. He did that. 6 months later, he had no problems.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a chance you're going to take, but it's unlikely it's going to affect the transplanted hair. And it will probably only affect your native hair, but that native hair helps to make the transplant look better.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. I just thought, that, and you just nailed it right there. I just thought that maybe since, I was so low just to get to a normal level that the native hair would be fine. But then you're saying it possibly could affect it.
It's possible.
Right? Yeah.
It is possible. I think you really need to be monitored closely, and you need to talk to your doctor about, whoever prescribes it to you, their experiences in clinic with guys who are dealing with hair loss and what their suggestions are. The fact that you're taking finasteride is good.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that a lot of your hair is transplanted is good. But, and listen, if you really need the testosterone replacement, then you need it. Then it's something, it's a chance you have to take. But if it's only to feel maybe 5% better, or, if having low T the way that, how are you dealing with it now?
Well, I've been off of it for 6 months since I've done the procedure, and I was going to, maybe possibly go get the blood work done and see if I get back on it again through the clinic.
But now you've been off of it for 6 months. How are you doing?
Oh yeah. Well, I seem to be okay. I don't have the energy or the drive that I did when I was taking it, of course.
Right.
But I'll have it, but it's less frequent.
Right.
Yeah. For that type of libido. So
my advice is
a little bit longer to recharge.
My advice is to talk to your hair transplant surgeon and to talk to your anti-aging specialist and take all of this into consideration. Let me ask you this. When you were on the therapy, did you get on finasteride after your hair transplant, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So you really don't know how you're going to react. There's a lot of guys who seem to find a good balance, and they're fine. They're on TRT therapy. They're taking human growth hormone. They're using finasteride, and their bodies react well. They get the benefit of all of it. They keep their hair, and they get their sexual prowess back, and their energy, and everything that we need, and that that testosterone gives us. And then there are those who don't do that great.
Right.
So.
Well, I'll do that. I'll just try to do that. And I did try to. I know you guys are doing the Fridays now. I did try to call in last week, but I couldn't get in, and you guys were too busy running your next show, the spray tan thing. And when y'all were talking to that one guy about spray tans, I was thinking, well, man, I thought only the women did that before weddings, and y'all were, but I was just joking about, laughing about that. I thought it was funny. And then Joe made a comment about Bozo the Clown, and that's what I was starting to look like before this procedure. And I do know who that is, but these young guys, I'm sure, don't.
They have no clue.
So
no clue.
But you know what the great thing about it is? If they're watching us on YouTube or on GFQ, whatever it is, all they have to do is Google Bozo the Clown, and they can find out in a second.
That's right.
So
there's a striking resemblance to Krusty the Clown.
Yes, that's true. All right,
That's
dude.
hilarious.
Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck. Keep us, keep in touch with us. Let us know how you do with your transplant.
I know you got other callers.
Go ahead.
But one more thing real quick.
Yeah.
Do y'all ever, I haven't heard y'all mention Dr. Rocha here in Houston lately. I mean, do y'all still have a relationship or something with, or deal with him?
Absolutely.
He texted me while we're on air. Wanting to, because, I still got a relationship with him. He's still on my website, still on my YouTube channel and his own playlist.
Is he watching the show? I hope he is.
I think he might be, because he texted me saying, hey, what's going on? You got some time to talk? I'm like, I'm doing the show. He's like, oh, yeah. So, hey, Doc, if you're watching, how you doing?
Yeah. We love when doctors call in, especially IHS members. So, Dr. Rocha, if you ever feel like calling in, call us. We're here.
Okay. And then,
hell of a nice guy.
And don't, Spencer, don't worry about the metabolism of like in whiskey or bourbon. I can't metabolize it anymore either. I can have a cold beer, but that's about it.
You know what? I'm not even worried about it. If you saw what happened to me, it was like, I actually feel bad for the guy who's hanging out with me because he doesn't know what to make of it. Or it's very possible he has a video of me, and one day he's going to come to me and he's going to try to extort me. But you know what? He can't, because I'm out here telling you guys the truth. I got really fucked up and I fell, and I'm, what are you going to do?
Well, as long as he doesn't have any pictures of you, I guess you're okay.
Well, the only picture, what pictures can he have? Unless I blacked out and I didn't know about it, I'm screwing some, some hooker in a strip club. That could be trouble. No,
you're a good guy. I'm sure you do the right thing. So, but anyway, I appreciate you guys, man. Y'all are a lot of help and everything y'all do.
Well,
and we all appreciate you out here.
I appreciate it, man. And
yeah.
What were you going to say, Joe? I cut you off.
No, thanks for that comment, and thanks for calling us. It's, we love hearing, updates and people calling in. You got questions that every guy has at this point. I can't count how many times I've gotten this call or I've gotten this email. Yeah. And, I've been dealing with it for, going on 15 years, and it's always going to be the same thing. People always have the same questions, and people always need to be reminded. It's like, it's just this ongoing cycle. And I think it's great that you're updating us, and, we certainly appreciate that.
Well, Joe, since I don't have to, just one thing, since I don't have to fucking use Google, just for the heat bumps down here in Houston, what about a shampoo, like a website for any kind of something you recommend there, because the heat bumps do occur at this point, from the humidity down here.
Yeah. I really don't know. I mean, okay. I would, if I were you, I'd just get a hold of a dermatologist in the Houston area and just ask if there's something they'd recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, dude. Listen, good luck. Keep us abreast of your progress, and don't be depressed about it. It's early days, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.
All right. You too. Take care.
Bye-bye. All right.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. Feel free to give us a call. Joe he's fucking up his set. What's going on?
My phone dropped.
Oh, that was loud too.
Yeah.
You can get it. I'll take the camera off you.
There we go.
888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello, gentlemen. This is Dave from Brooklyn. How are you?
Dave from Brooklyn. How are you, man? There's something about your voice and the cadence in which you speak that I really love. I have to tell you.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So what's up?
Well, I have a bit of a technical question, but, maybe I want to know if I'm, let's say I'm in a Norwood 6-7 position, and I want to do FUE. Will a doctor be able to sort of disperse the grafts and maybe not pack them in so tightly to sort of make up for the lack of donor hair?
Well, the doctor can essentially do whatever he wants with those grafts. So yeah, I mean, if he chooses, and if he thinks that, and if you think that that's the route you want to go, and not have them as densely packed, and what are you basically saying? You want them spread out, or are you saying you don't want them extracted in a dense pattern?
Well, I want them spread out because I basically want more coverage than density. I've never had dense hair really anyway. I mean, obviously, it could be as dense, I guess, as they want it to be, right? But
well, I mean, there's physiological limitations. There's limitations. Every patient is different. Some guys who are trying to do dense packing, you just don't have the skin to hold that dense packing. You're just going to turn to mush. And so some guys just are not candidates for dense packing. And that's something that I think the young guys really need to know, because they see what's happening online and they all think they can get these densely packed hairlines. No, you can't. And there's a lot of disasters out there because everyone tries to do the one-size-fits-all procedure. But to answer your question, and I'm going to let Joe touch on this, obviously, I'm not a huge fan of spreading grafts all over the place and not packing them as, to a reasonable density. I think it could be an aesthetic waste, and it really depends on where they're placed, I guess. I mean, Joe, what do you think?
Well, it depends on, like, are we talking like a clean, bald Norwood 6, Norwood 7, or are we talking just diffused general loss?
Well, basically, I thought I was a Norwood 6, but Dr. Lori's representative told me that I have like a halo effect in the back of my head, which means I'm headed toward Norwood 7, I think.
Okay.
And honestly,
that must have been gut-wrenching, huh, when you heard that?
Yeah, no one likes being told they're Norwood 6 and then get kicked in the nuts to be told that they're actually Norwood 7.
Well, honestly, I think I probably have maybe 300 hairs on my head right now, like sparsely populated, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so
I'm gonna let Joe, basically, do your thing, man.
To everyone else around you, you're clean bald. That's what you're
Pretty
saying.
much.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So it's tough because there's so many factors that go into this. It's like, okay, so if we spread them out, then what will the grafts look like individually? Because when you spread them out over such a large area, each individual graft is going to be visible on its own. So they have to be prepared perfectly. Because the problem with transplants today, especially today compared to 10 years ago, is if they're not prepared properly, what I mean is examined, refined, and dissected, then they can still look like pluggy. It can look pluggy. It depends on your hair type. Is it coarse? Is it fine? Is it dark? Are you a pasty white guy? Do you have some color to your skin? God, I mean, there's so many things, and I've seen it done on. I've seen a case where the patient wanted exactly what you're looking for, and the only way to give him the result that he needed or that he wanted was to literally take. I hate using that word, but literally take every single graft. And not only examine them closely under high-power stereoscopic dissecting microscopes with an experienced team, but to take each graft and turn every single one of them into single-hair grafts, the doubles, the triples, and the quads.
Gotcha.
And that turned, I mean, the guy in this, that turned like a 2,500 graft case into about a 5,000 graft case on purpose. And it looked okay. It looked passable. I mean, the guy was happy with it, but that was a very specific case. And if you're, I would recommend going against that direction unless you went to a clinic that can say, yes, we have the microscopes. What you're saying makes sense. My team of experienced technicians can safely take these grafts and separate them into singles, because I think that's the only way that you can get a result that's worthwhile. Because when you have even doubles and triples, and sometimes even singles, and they're not properly prepared, and you spread it out, they'll stand out, and it can look like a hair transplant.
And I think, first of all, that was an incredibly well thought out, lucid response, Joe.
Thank you.
And that was a very technical response.
I'm not drinking.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to give you my response is this: if you're going to be in Norwood 7, and even in the best hands, with the best angulation, the most refined grafts, you're looking at maybe a veneer of hair that could just end up looking like, like just a see-through veneer of hair. I don't think it's a great idea.
Not to mention, and I'll take that one step further. Good luck trying to style it, because it'll be so thin.
You can always comb it back, and you use some sort of a product, and then you have this like I said, like it's like it could almost look like just this little light veneer of thinning hair that will give you could frame your face and give you a different look. But it's going to be difficult to style. There's not going to be enough hair that's going to be able to be combable, or that's going to be close enough.
If you try to do a side part and spray it down, then just a moderate gust of wind will get, and here I am back to the same reference, you look like the lead singer of Flock of Seagulls.
Right.
That thing will blow up. It'll look like the sail of a sailboat.
Wait a second. That's what mine looks like.
That's exactly what mine used to look like before I had 6,000 surgeries since. But it's you really have to lower your expectations as far as your options for styling, how it's going to look. You got to find the clinic that can do it the right way, because nothing is worse than really planning out to the last graft how you're going to do this, and then have it look like a hair transplant.
Let me ask you this. Have you considered wearing hair?
No. Impossible.
Why?
Cannot be done. It's, I've spoken about this with my girlfriend. It's insulting almost. It's just beyond. I'd much rather be bald. I cannot even come close to entertaining the possibility of wearing something fake on top of my head. I just can't do it.
Well, you know what? I respect that, and I understand that, and it's unfortunate, especially if you want to. How old are you now?
I'll be 44.
Okay. Especially if you want to, go on with your life and look the way you want to look, not giving it a shot. And I understand why. I mean, it's a hard thing for anyone to wrap their head around based on what society has turned hair, non-surgical hair restoration into. A fucking joke. Now, the society did the same thing about women putting silicone orbs into their bodies.
Orbs.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
And wearing fake hair and fake nails and fake eyelashes and having fake boobs and fake tans.
That's a great point. And I respect every man out there who's wearing one. I don't know if it's a generational thing. I'm not the youngest caller, of course, but I don't know if it's something, I don't know if you were born after a certain point where that seems, I don't know. I'm sure there are young guys doing it as well. But for some reason, just the thought of it, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's just, there's just something, there's like it's like, for example, like braces are considered perfectly acceptable.
Right.
Colored contacts are, but there's something about wearing something fake on your head that just seems.
As a guy, not for the gals, because half the women out there have, 75% of their hair is fake.
Right.
Let me ask you this:
every woman you see on the news is almost every woman is wearing fake hair.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: when you were classified as a 7, when you look at your scalp, do you see what are called the parietal humps still intact, or have they receded down on the sides as well?
You mean the upper, what they call, I'm sorry, what was that called again? You're talking about
the parietal humps.
Yeah. The representative told me that was actually good, and I don't have a large head, so it's like I thought that there was relatively. It's like for a Norwood 6/7, it's not a big space, and I'm looking at the sides and the back, and I'm thinking it seems theoretically possible. I mean, I really don't know if they could, how many grafts they can extract from the horseshoe fringe, and I know that some hairs are more, sweet spot and all of that, but I imagine that it is possible to get some sort of, to get decent coverage, considering that I have I don't know, like how many, let's put it this way, from left to right, it's like the size of like an index finger from left to right. That's how wide I am, put it that way. And I'm about 11 centimeters from back to front. That's what they told me from Voorhees. So it doesn't seem like a gigantic amount of space. Of course, I can continue to lose hair. I'm very afraid of medication. I wish I wasn't.
All I can tell you is that no matter what you were told, and listen, Mike Voorhees is a part of what we do. He supports this program and what I'm about to say, but I don't think you are really the best candidate for a hair transplant, especially if you're just going to go purely the FUE route. And with the mindset that you have, that means you're deathly afraid of medication. You're 44 years old, and there's probably a chance you're going to progress.
What was your donor hair rated as? The density?
You know what? They showed pictures of it. I gave them pictures, and I also sent them to Cardenas. And none of them gave me a density rating, but Cardenas asked me to grow my hair for at least a week or two to see what the donor hair looked like in terms of, he said I was shaved. I was shaved down completely, so he couldn't really tell, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Well, no, that's true. It's like if it's too short, you can't tell. But you had your head shaved, so are you normally a head shaver?
Yep.
Okay. And are you going to continue to be a head shaver after the surgery?
If I do not do the surgery, I will absolutely continue.
But if you do have the surgery, will you continue to shave your head?
It's not that I really want to, but I'm just afraid that for whatever reason, I'm afraid that an FUT scar, is that what you mean? Because I'm afraid that'll come back to haunt me one way or another.
It can.
Either it won't heal.
It can. Look, I'll just say this. I think that what Spencer was saying is correct, and I would refer you to hair transplant class number 1 in my education playlist on my YouTube channel. Don't have a hair transplant. I don't think that you. I think I think you're putting too many barriers in front of yourself to really get everything that you can get out of a hair transplant. I just don't think it's a good idea for you. You're not going to take medication. You're looking to I understand, and it makes sense logically on paper to maximize your donor the way that you're talking, but I'm 98% sure you'll be very disappointed in the final result, both in the recipient and the donor area.
Okay, and I guess that makes my last question moot, but maybe it'll help some others. Motorized versus manual. What do you think is better?
There is no better.
Yeah.
The tool is only as good as the hand that wields it.
Yeah, it really absolutely depends on who's utilizing the tool. Manual it's great if someone has the patience and the ability to do it manually, and just oscillate their fingers back and forth and get that excise that graft. Terrific. And if they understand, if they believe they have the best sense of touch, feel, and everything that it takes to get the graft out intact, then that's the best in their hands.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of guys who are using handheld, motorized devices. Some oscillate some oscillate and rotate, some just rotate, that are doing incredible work. And the vast majority of guys who are doing FUE today, the guys who are doing it themselves, are using some form of motorized device.
And I think it goes to, what you're seeing, like, you're going to different clinics' websites and you're looking at the results and you're determining, from, visual inspection, okay, these are guys I want to consider. And you have no idea when you're looking at the results, whether they use manual or motorized. You find that out afterwards. And I think that's very telling in the importance of that whole debate of manual versus motorized. It means jack shit in the end, as long as they're getting good results. And, I think it's important to know, but at the same time, it doesn't really mean anything for your final result as long as the clinic you choose has results that you feel are cosmetically acceptable. The tool doesn't matter. But back to your case specifically, I think that your concern about the strip scar is warranted. I mean, obviously, everyone should be concerned about the potential for stretch back or poor healing or whatever, even in the best hands possible. But if you were to go for a hair transplant, in my view, you will get more grafts via strip before your donor area is compromised. Again, depending on your donor laxity and the density, than you would with FUE, because there is a certain threshold of visual or cosmetic threshold with FUE where the density becomes so depleted that it's irrelevant. I mean, or not irrelevant, but it kills the whole reason of getting FUE to begin with, because if your donor is completely see-through and you got little pockmark scars or just looks like you're sick or whatever because of it, it just kind of takes away the whole point of getting
I'm going to be even more direct. In my view, as someone who's been doing this forever, as the guy who introduced FUE to North America and to Europe, I would say if you were just to go straight FUE with how you're explaining your hair characteristics are, your donor characteristics, and the amount of hair loss you have, it would be a huge mistake. If you want to actually get any real cosmetically appreciable results, I would say you're going to have to commit to at least one strip.
Yeah.
Minimum. Now, with that said, that there's a risk involved, and there's a lot of risk involved. You're risking, there's a chance of infection, chance of stretch back, chance of permanent numbness. You're having a piece of your scalp removed. And that's it. These are the risks that you have to deal with. You are in a position where my advice would be, if you want hair on your head and to walk around looking like you have hair, to try a non-surgical approach. You could always get some FUE if you have weakened temporal points, to strengthen those temporal points so that the hair system looks even more natural. And you can have a great life and look at yourself in the mirror and feel comfortable. But that's not something that you are equipped to do. Yeah. I can tell you this, you're definitely not equipped to deal with having a fucked up hair transplant.
I am not. I am not. And gentlemen, I know this sounds, I'm sure you guys have heard of this. What if, I mean, obviously, most people, a lot of guys shave their heads and shave their sides anyway, shave the back and sides anyway. What if they just took all of it off, the sides and the back, just took all the grafts out and just put it on top? I mean, is that possible?
It is
I
possible.
Actually had a guy. I had a guy contact me in the past couple months that wanted to do exactly. Actually, he wanted to create a mohawk by literally taking every hair of his donor area and sticking it right in the middle of his scalp, front to back.
You're basically going to have a huge confluence of scar tissue all the way around your head.
You'll look like a
What
bird.
about SMP, though?
What about it?
What about it?
Could SMP mask the white
Dude,
scar?
you're going to, like Joe just said, you're going to look like a burn victim with tattoos in your head.
Scar tissue does not take pigment the way that skin tissue does. It's a complete. Anyone that does SMP and has any like an ounce of ethics to them will tell you that if you come in and say, yeah, I want my scar, hit with some pigment, they'd say, well, I can't promise anything. All we can do is start a test and see how your scar tissue takes it. Sometimes it disappears completely in 2 weeks. Sometimes it spreads like a drop of ink in water.
This is your harsh reality, and I'm going to tell it to you, and it may not be pleasant, but I want to save you from going through something that could really destroy your life. You won't take the drug finasteride. I get it. So you're limiting yourself right there. You are really fixated on having FUE because you're concerned about having a donor scar, which I understand as well. So you're limiting yourself tremendously right there because you have such significant hair loss. You were thinking about crazy fucking ideas about getting a mohawk and then tattooing your head. You are not a candidate for this surgery, dude.
Okay.
And that's not an insult. That's just
I'm
trying to save your ass.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that you're looking for the right answer, but the way that you're looking at this, it's like you're looking for one Band-Aid to deal with the previous Band-Aid, which is dealing with the previous Band-Aid to give you hair. And you can't either you're a candidate or you're not, and you're not a candidate.
And you're willing to do all these crazy things, but you're unwilling to even consider gluing hair to your head for a little bit to see what that's like.
Yeah.
That's the easiest approach.
And I know some of them look unbelievable. How am I going to explain it though when I show up on Monday and everyone goes, "Hey, wait a minute."
You do what my friend Kent Emmons used to do. He ended up getting a transplant, but he'd be like, "Check out the piece." People would be like, "Dude, you look good. What happened?" He goes, "It's a piece. I'm wearing a piece. Can you believe it?" And then end of subject. And then it's time for dinner, and no one is talking behind his back. What they're probably were saying, "How the fuck how is that a piece?" So I mean, you just have to fucking own it. And I'm telling you, people forget it, especially if it's done well. Now, he chose to get away from the piece because there was a lot of maintenance involved, and he travels a lot, and he finally had time to have surgery that he's very happy with. He went to Scott Alexander, but he came to me, and he was going from radio to television. He said, "Look, I need some hair," and he had 4 months before he had to be in front of the camera, and he wanted to get a hair transplant. I said, "You can't get a fucking hair transplant and go in front of the camera in 4 months. It's going to take you 2 years before you get what you want." I said, "The only thing you can do is a piece," and he was really bummed about it. And I said, "Look, I'll walk you through the process. Order about 40 to 50% density. He's a blonde-haired guy. I never forget the phone call that I got when he received that shit in the mail. And it looks like it's just a wet dog. It's just like very long. It's not cut in. He was freaking out. I said, "Dude, just have it cut in. Trust me." He had it cut in, and he looked 20 years younger, 100% natural. Until the only time it didn't look natural is when he didn't do the upkeep, when he got lazy, and all of a sudden you started to see like dirt in his hairline, where the lace is. And that's the pain in the ass of maintaining those fucking things. But you can look, especially if you're in your 40s and 50s, really good. But you also have to accept the fact that less is more with a hairpiece. So, you got to look like you have a little bit of thinning hair. You comb it back, whatever blows in the wind, you got to see a good amount of scalp. Otherwise, it's a total giveaway. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate your time and patience as usual. Thank you for the advice, and I hope it helps somebody else out there as well.
Well, I'm sorry.
I hope it helps you.
I hope it helps you, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but
that's okay, gentlemen.
Sometimes that's just the truth, man. That's what we do.
I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank
man.
you, gentlemen.
Good luck.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Talk about not being a candidate for a hair transplant. Holy shit.
Man, it's just it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the questions because it's I mean it makes sense and I understand the thought process. It's like well if I could just do this, what if I could do that? And unfortunately, he's not the first person to think of this, and it rarely works out.
The guy would be better off completely shaving it all like he does, getting jacked on, taking the chance of getting jacked on steroids and tattooing his neck. Give himself a look.
Yeah, a look.
All right, guys. 888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, this is Kenny from New York.
Hey, Kenny from New York. What's happening, man?
Good, good. I've called the show before. I don't know if you remember. I was the New York City subway rider. I called.
How many people actually call from the fucking subway? Of course I remember you, man. How are you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. No, I'm good. I just had like a few questions to ask. I noticed like I still have a lot of hair on my head, but I'm like probably like a Norwood 2, I guess,
Right.
And I've noticed it like when I like just turned 21, like so. This is probably like 6 years ago. I'm 26 now. I'm gonna be 27 in August. But I've been on Propecia for about, I guess, 3 years or so, and everything's fine. I guess I've maintained the hair that I have.
That's good to hear.
Knock on wood. But my question is that I take 1 milligram, but like the doctor back then that prescribed it to me didn't want me to take. He didn't want to prescribe Proscar and divide the pill up into like 4 separate tablets, but he ended up retiring. And I have a new doctor that actually recommended I go that route because it'd be cheaper.
Okay.
But like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I'm afraid that if I change a prescription, even though I guess it's the same thing, that I might lose ground.
Here's my thought. And Joe's going to tell you it's the exact same drug, and it is, and it's made by the same manufacturer, especially if you get the brand name, right? So
yeah, which I do. Yeah,
you're dealing with the real McCoy. There are probably slightly different fillers in the, and obviously color in Propecia and Proscar. And for me, if you're doing well and you could still afford Propecia, then I wouldn't fuck with it, even with the real McCoy. Now, with that said, I haven't really heard of anybody having issues going from brand name Merck Propecia to brand name Merck Proscar and cutting it up. So you're probably going to be fine.
Okay.
But the way that my mind works is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you can afford it, stick with it. But as long as you're going from brand to brand, you're probably, same brand to same brand, you're probably going to be fine. Joe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's the real deal. I mean, it's the real stuff. So I'm not a big fan of changing something that works. But if you want to switch to Proscar, if I heard this right, I was typing in the chat room there, going from name brand Propecia to name brand Proscar, I have no issues with that whatsoever that I'm aware of. In fact, this also goes back to the dose dependency issue. With Propecia, you're taking 1 milligram. If you're quartering a Proscar tablet, you're taking 1.25. Maybe even see potentially a slight increase in the efficacy.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, because know what it is, like right now, I probably haven't like cut my hair probably in like, I'm going to say 4 months or so. So like when I 4 months ago, I shaved it down to like maybe like a 5 guard. So it was like really short. But like now it's been like maybe 3.5, 4 months. And now it's like maybe 2.5 inches, maybe 3 inches long. And I noticed I guess a slight increase in shedding. I don't know if it's just because the hair is just longer and maybe it just looks like it's shedding a lot when I guess it's not.
Well, it's easier to notice when it's longer too, right? I mean, when your hair's really short, you just don't see as much of it anywhere.
Yeah. Because know what it is? It's just like, I don't know, like I have this thing where like I'm afraid like maybe I'm losing ground right now or whatnot. Like I always have to like try and keep my hair not like super short, but like, it looks a little thin when it gets longer.
Well, look, Joe's right, and you actually thought of that. Because your hair is longer, the loss or the shedding is more noticeable.
Mhm.
Period. And
Yeah.
that's the way that it is. So you may not be losing ground. Cut your hair to its normal length, and make an assessment. See how you look. See if you actually are losing ground, and see if that gives the appearance of you shedding less. And then you'll know if you are shedding more or not. You'll definitely know
What,
it.
if I cut my hair?
Yeah, I would cut it back to where you had it.
Yeah.
And just see how you do it.
Mm. Okay.
Cut it
Yeah,
as short as you're comfortable cutting it, and then see what the shedding appears to be. And my thought is, like Joe said, it's probably going to look like you're shedding less. So maybe that'll cause you less daily anxiety, which is important. And Joe may be right also. And again, we're both not physicians, but it's possible by splitting up Proscar, you might get a little boost. And you're taking slightly more. Everyone we want to believe that we're taking 1.25 if we quarter it. You're not. Just by cutting it up, you're losing some of the medication anyway.
It's because Proscar is a funny shape, and you can't get it exact every time. And every time you do cut it, there's a little bit of peripheral destruction on either side of the cut.
Right. There's always a little dust coming off of it.
Yeah.
So I would say quartering those tablets, you're probably only getting, on average, 1 milligram.
Give or take. Yeah.
You're talking about including the peripheral crush damage, and maybe it's
TM peripheral crush.
Yeah, but I'm not big on switching, but I would say that this is probably the safest bet if you choose to switch.
Yeah. Definitely don't go from name brand Propecia to
generic,
any sort of generic.
Yeah, even if he says that, he's going to say, well, you can get generic finasteride, and that's really cheap. Just say you want name brand only. Make sure that he writes name brand on that prescription.
Yeah, that was something I made sure, because he recommended if I wanted to, it's cheaper to get generic, but I told him I wanted the name brand because I've been taking that for 3.5 years now, and I haven't had any issue with it. So.
Yeah.
Listen,
I would cut if I were you. I would cut my hair to the length that you're comfortable with. When you weren't shedding as much, you probably will notice that you're not shedding as much. But it'll also give you a better assessment of where you are. As far as if you have progressed, you'll probably be able to see it more.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I guess because my hair's longer, it looks noticeable a little bit. To me, it does at least.
That's my problem. When my hair is longer, like I really shouldn't go more than 3 weeks, but sometimes I go like 6 weeks, and that's when you guys see it really all pasted together, and because it just gets see-through in the front, and it's harder to paint because the longer it is, the heavier it is, the more it's going to separate, and it just gives the appearance of it being thinner and more wispy. The shorter it is, the easier it is to control.
Right. So you get a haircut, every 3-4 weeks?
I try to do it every 3 or 4 weeks, but there are plenty of times I don't, and you can see the difference. It's just like, and I'll talk about it, I just got to paste this shit together today. It's just like, or sometimes I'll have to put a little a Dermatch closer in the part line, even in the, close to the hairline, because I'll be able to see through it, where it may not be, it may not show on camera, but in real life, it makes me feel a little more self-conscious. So if I don't keep it cut as short as to the length that I'm comfortable with, I can definitely see it looks thinner. So it could be an optical illusion. That's what I'm saying.
I see. Yeah, because, like I said, I hadn't, what I do is I just cut the sides and back, and I leave the length on top, and I've been doing that for, probably 3.5 months. So, the top part of my head I haven't cut in, 3.5 months. Maybe that's something where, maybe I'll just go get a haircut tomorrow and see,
Get your haircut. You're going to be able to assess your situation better, and you're probably going to notice you're not going to see as much hair in the shower or when you comb your hair.
Okay.
All right, man.
And
yeah.
And what are your thoughts on increasing your dosage of medication?
Again, we're not doctors, but anecdotally, I do believe again, and I'm going to repeat myself on this program, that it's dose dependent. Some guys do better on more of the drug.
Yep.
Okay. Because I was thinking maybe if he could he could prescribe me Proscar while I'm still on Propecia, and then I just cut the tablets just to see how it is, and then I just maybe take my Propecia tablet plus the quarter of the Proscar tablet,
I mean, you could talk to your doctor about that, and you can do that, but I think right now, I think your mindset is you don't want to get off the Propecia at all, and you're just going to add finasteride in another form, and if you don't get off the brand name Propecia, you're not going to risk any setbacks. Is that your rationale for that?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that's, that I understand, and that's why I was able to figure out what your rationale was, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, the rationale makes sense in our crazy hair loss minds, so I get it, but I don't think that, it's worth it. Either stay on Propecia or make the switch. And then you could always up your dosage. You could always up your dosage just by cutting the Proscar and taking, instead of taking one piece, take two pieces. But talk to your doctor about that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because that was just something. Because like I said, I've knock on wood, I haven't had any issue with the medication I'm taking now. It's just.
So why don't you just cut your hair and wait a few months before you make the switch?
Yeah.
I mean, how much is that money going to change your life?
Not a lot.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. No.
There's your answer, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
When you choose if you choose to up your dosage, talk to your doctor about this, of course, not giving medical advice, then you may want to switch to Proscar because it'll be cheaper and it'll be easy to up your dosage.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, the only thing I was concerned about is if I switch from one to the other, even though it's, I guess, technically the same thing.
I get it, dude. I'm a crazy hair loss sufferer, man, with a crazy hair loss mind.
Yeah.
I'm a fanatic. I am neurotic. I totally fucking understand. So.
Yeah, because it is hard. Because like I said, I started noticing it when I just turned 21. I was like, oh my God, this is when my life is supposed to start. And I'm going to be 27 in a couple months now. And
dude,
I've been lucky. I've been able to keep the hair that I still have. I could still style it.
Do you know that I had, before I started losing my hair, I had only gotten drunk once as a teenager. I didn't use any alcohol or anything. I was an athlete and, really was totally against all that shit. And as soon as I started to lose my hair, I had to fucking escape, man. I was at the bars. I had to prove that I could still get laid even with the crazy hairstyle, and and alcohol helped lubricate my world and made me more comfortable and confident and all that stuff. And so I know what it's like. I know how painful it is. That's why I call this a disease of the spirit or a cancer of the spirit. That's why I do what I do, man. So I understand all of your questions. I understand your rationale. I understand your reasoning. Even though it's not necessarily rational, I understand it all because I have lived it. And I'm still there because honestly, I'm not well. But, what am I going to do? I guess I'm gonna coin that. It's a hair loss mind, man. A hair loss sufferer's head. I'm not equipped to deal with it like some other guys are. That's why I do what I do.
Okay.
So just take your time and get a haircut. Relax. Get a haircut. Let us know how the haircut goes. And you don't have to jump ship just because you're going to save a couple of bucks.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good advice. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll probably get a haircut tomorrow and cut it an inch off or so. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, man. Listen, good luck. Let us know.
Good luck with
Call us next week or call us Friday.
Oh, you guys are on twice a week now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Fridays at, let's see, you're on the East Coast, so that's
Yeah, I'm in New York.
Fridays at
Are
5
you-
p.m. your time.
Are you subscribed to the channel?
No, I'm not.
What the hell's wrong with you?
the
Get
YouTube-
off my phone.
The YouTube channel?
Yeah, go
Yes.
to Joe Tillman's page.
Jesus.
Joe, give him the page.
YouTube.com/hair transplant mentor.
Okay. All right. I'll
Subscribe and then click the bell, because now you got to click the bell if you want to get notifications of new uploads or new streaming episodes. So do that, and you'll be notified when we're on the air again.
How are you listening? Are you listening on like iHeartRadio? Are you listening on The Bald Truth, GFQ?
Oh, well, I typed in the your website, and it showed like your live thing, and I just called in. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, man.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. If you subscribe to Joe's page, you'll get alerted. So you could either go to my website when we're live, or you can go to any of the other resources, including Joe's page.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Friday you're on at 8 as well. Then
Friday we're on at 5 your time. 2
5
p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, okay. And I just have one more quick question. I know it's late, and but like, what are your thoughts on like what do you call it? The PRP. Like, as far as like,
my thoughts are not all PRP is created equal. There's only a handful of guys out there who know what the fuck they're doing and have
most of it's crap.
And I would say most of it's crap. So if you go to you can go to ihs.org and you can find some videos that I did with Dr. Paul Rose on the podcast there that talk about his study with PRP. Also, there's some stuff on thebaldtruth.com. There are a few doctors that seem to be doing it right. They have the right PRP systems. They understand how to perform PRP and what it takes to have effective PRP for hair loss. Remember, it's called platelet-rich plasma therapy. A lot of people are just re-injecting plasma. That's not platelet-rich because they're not separating it properly. They're not using a FDA-approved system. Some are using open systems compared to closed systems. There's so many variables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I will say that I have seen guys and women who have had a lot of success with PRP.
Yeah. Because I mean, I looked online and I saw like Joe Greco. Like he seems to have good results as well.
Joe is the OG on PRP for hair loss. He did the initial studies. He is the guy that started it all for hair loss, and everyone else has just kind of like jumped on board and have essentially just buying whatever crap's out there to make it look as though they're doing some sort of special PRP, or they're buying all these systems that have really there's no empirical data showing that these systems are working.
Yeah, because like my thing is like all I just want to do is just maintain what I have, like and like I feel like any little thing would help, even if I just went like once a year and got it.
If you are a Norwood 2 right now, then there's nothing else you need to do except what you're doing now.
Exactly.
And that is the medication. Okay.
Right.
When you start introducing new variables into the maintenance of your existing hair, just to make sure you're doing everything you can do, then you introduce the potential for some sort of an effluvium, some sort of a shock loss. You just don't know what can happen. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the bottom line here. What you're doing now works for you.
That's great advice. And let me tell you this. I want to save every hair that I have, and I have not had PRP. I can fly down to Joe's any day. I can get everything done for nothing. I can do it, 4 times a year or more. And I choose not to because I don't want to fuck myself up right now. If I feel like I'm losing ground, I know that option is there for me.
Yeah.
All right, man. Listen, we got to take another call, but I do appreciate everything you're dealing with, my advice is get a haircut as you are tomorrow. And if you have more questions, you want to talk to us some more, call us on Friday.
All right, sounds good. I'll do that.
All right, dude. Take care. Sorry to cut you off.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Let's take this call and call it a night. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. It's Jessie over in Hermosa here.
Hey, Jessie.
Hey,
what's
Jessie.
happening?
Not much. What's going on?
You know, doing a little show here.
Talking to some guys about being bald.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I called in on Friday. Little background, 29 male, had 1,100 FUE grafts with Dr. Dauer on May 31st. So since I've talked to you guys on Friday, I've been noticing what I can only assume is a little bit of shock loss in the recipient area.
Right.
It's coming in, so it's like it's almost like polka dots. I'm assuming it's from where they went in with the lidocaine from the trauma. Have you guys seen things like that?
I'm going to let Joe answer this because he's seen a lot, but I haven't seen anything directly. I mean, if you think the polka dots are from the needle injections, the lidocaine.
It's not in like the recipient area. It's in like the forelock area. So it's not where they place the grafts. It's in the the center.
Right.
Where they were injecting. Okay, well, I mean,
I guess that's possible then, but it wouldn't be in like, well,
it doesn't. Well, okay, so it's kind of confusing. So you had are you saying you had only injections of lidocaine into the forelock?
No, so I mean, I didn't watch where they put the anesthetic in, but I'm assuming
you can feel it.
that those. Oh yeah, I could definitely feel it for sure.
Okay.
And they were obviously all over the scalp, but the transplanted hair is not there anymore because I've lost 75, 80% of it. But all up and down the forelock, there's like little polka dot patches where it's not completely gone, but it's noticeable.
How big are these polka dots, as you put it?
I'd say like a dime to a nickel.
Really?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I don't think it's from the. I'm not a physician, not a doctor.
Are they first question, and I'm going to let Joe answer this, but are they slick bald, like shiny?
There you go.
No. So it's just like it would be like thinning over the entire scalp, but it's only in these little patches. But it's to the point where if I'm looking at myself in the mirror, like I can clearly see up and down the forelock 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 of these little patches.
Okay.
It's odd.
I can't say that it's shock loss specific. I think you're asking if it's shock loss. Shock loss specifically from needle injections. I've not seen that, but it almost. Spencer was asking the previous questions with a line of thinking about some sort of physiological reaction to either the lidocaine or just some sort of shock that the system has gone through that would induce a form of scarring alopecia.
Right.
And
the thing is
like a lichen planopilaris or something like that.
Right.
But I have to say, it doesn't have to be a slick bald spot for it to be something that would be it's real. I mean, this is something that has to be looked at, and I can't see it obviously, and I don't think it's from just like doing injections. I don't think it's that. I think it's potentially just a general recipient shock just from the procedure itself, which can happen. You don't have to make incisions into a specific area. You can maybe make incisions of needles or for injections or even for making recipient sites in 2 completely different spots, and then the area in between can thin out with a general diffused response, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because of the interruption of blood flow. But what you're talking about, it does sound unusual, but maybe you're not describing it properly. But I mean, I've not seen anything like that based on what you're describing. It's hard to really nail it down.
Yeah, I mean, I looked online, and I forget the name of the condition. There is a condition where it causes you to lose, patches of hair, whatever, in these circular
alopecia areata.
Yeah.
Right. And, it's not down to the scalp, but it's enough where I look at myself and, I can see the polka dot pattern on my head.
Well, here's the thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I mean, it didn't happen on the back where the lidocaine injections went in.
Well, here's the thing.
The miniaturized hair is just more susceptible to it.
It's very unusual. First of all, alopecia areata, while it's about 4,000 Americans suffer with alopecia areata, universalis, and totalis, or did I say 4,000? 4 million.
4,000.
Yeah, 4 million Americans. Sorry. While it's relatively rare, it's not as rare as a lot of people think. I mean, a lot of people, deal with this autoimmune or thought to be autoimmune condition, and it is autoimmune because now they're able to get tremendous regrowth using certain drugs that affect the immune system. Yeah. With that said, it would be pretty unusual for you to suddenly be dealing with alopecia areata after, directly after surgery, just out of the blue, except there are times when trauma, and again, I'm not a physician, trauma can cause an autoimmune response.
Yeah.
So it's possible that I mean, I would think it's probably, and you should talk to Dr. Dauer about it, probably something else, probably not alopecia areata, but it could still be an autoimmune response.
Well, how long has it been since surgery? How many weeks?
May 31st, so it's been 27 days.
Okay, yeah, I highly doubt it's some sort of autoimmune response. Usually it takes longer. Like I was thinking more along the lines of lichen planopilaris, which is a type of scarring alopecia that is a direct result of trauma to the scalp. Not specifically, it's not like you get hit in the head or something and you suddenly develop a scar. It's when you have a hair transplant, or if you do have some sort of trauma to the scalp, like a blow to the scalp, it can form elsewhere in the scalp outside of the area of impact. It's just some sort of trigger that causes it to happen. But for it to form 27, 28 days after surgery, I highly, highly doubt that would be it. Again, not a physician. I think it is most likely, most likely something else that I can't think of what it would be. Go talk to Dr. Dauer about it for sure.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm not sure.
Give him a call, get in your car, and have him check it out.
Yeah. Because, I mean, everything that I've read online, people that, have experienced stuff like this, it'll come back, eventually.
Right.
Or it'll start filling out eventually, so.
Yeah.
How long does it start forming?
Literally probably the day after I talked to you guys, so like Saturday, I started to notice it.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Monitor it, see if it gets worse. But first thing tomorrow, call Dr. Dauer's office and ask if you're local, right, to his office?
Yeah, I'm in Hermosa.
Yeah, see if you can go in and have him check it out and see what he says and let us know. Give us an update.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Good talking to you. Good luck. Don't worry about it too much, and let us know what happens.
You got it.
All right, take care. Bye. All right, I swear this is the last phone call of the night because I got to go.
Okay, before you do, guys, hit the like button if you're on the my YouTube channel watching this. We got 13 likes.
Come on.
Let's see some more likes. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, just go away. Because we're doing this for free, and it's like if you can't subscribe, if you can't click that bell, if you can't smash that like button, then what are you doing here?
Just leave.
You're taking advantage of us. Just leave. Just kidding.
Let's take this call. Hey, who's this? Last call. You're on the air.
Hey, this is Steven from Austin.
Steven from Austin. How are you, man?
Hello, Steven.
Hey, I'm doing good. I've called like once or twice before.
Okay.
And this is probably like a really random question. I don't know if you ever got this before. But so I had like a very successful hair transplant about like 2 years ago.
Okay.
And maybe this isn't the best decision, but like I got like hair transplant, then it like grew it, and then I got married. But
yeah, getting married.
Getting married was not a good decision. Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
And
Bye.
Yeah. I'm finding that since I've had it, it's kind of like a different. I'm able to like definitely. I feel definitely attraction from women that I didn't previously.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Oh boy.
That's what I tell. As soon as there's a cure for hair
I got
loss,
the hair transplant so I could look good at my wedding, but now
Yeah.
I look so fucking good. I'm getting action from all these other women, and I'm regretting getting married.
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna say, isn't it?
yeah. So basically, what you're saying is you settled. You fucking settled, dude.
Well, I thought you know nothing's perfect in life, so you gotta deal with
man.
some.
You fucked yourself. Wrong order of activities.
Yeah.
Of events.
The hair transplant should have come way before the marriage, my man. That's all.
Yeah.
I know what the title of this episode is going to be. Oh God.
I mean, first of all, I'm not big on marriage. That's just
Yeah.
me. No, nothing personal, Joe. But I just think that in the 21st century, unless I decide to live a life where I want to live off the land and I need a lot of help, you know, I don't want to have kids, and there's no logical reason to get married. If you love somebody, you stay with them. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a legal binding contract where essentially the guy
In most places it's automatic if you're together for very long anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, it depends. Yeah, I mean, there's common law.
Yeah.
But you don't have to go into this as with a legal binding like a fucking corporation. But that's what women want. It's tradition, man. But we live in a different world, different century. But anyway, that's my thing. So you are now attractive enough to get laid by the women you want to get laid by.
It's possible, yeah. I'd say there's kind of like a
possible.
It's almost like,
or it's happened.
Well, it hasn't happened, but there's options that probably weren't available prior.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Which
So
is kind of like a little bit difficult.
Now let me ask you a question. How's your relationship with your wife?
It's not bad. I mean, it's pretty good. I don't actually say I regret getting married, but it's.
You do it, dude. I can hear it in your voice, dude. You're fucking miserable.
You're pausing. Your voice is cracking.
How old are you?
35.
Okay, and you got married last year?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've only been married a year and you're already talking about this? This is your honeymoon period, man.
It's your wife's sister, isn't it?
No.
Or one of her friends.
I'm going to tell you something right now. It is never going to be better than it is today.
Wow.
That is the truth. Today, as of right now, you have the best marriage that you can possibly have. So,
in other words, it's only downhill from
that's
here.
all I can tell you, dude.
Yeah.
So
what's the actual question?
Yeah. So what is the question? Because I'm not going to advocate you go fucking around your wife. I can't do that.
No, I guess I'm not. I'm not really asking for that. I don't know. I just it's kind of a weird thing that you're able to do this in this like day and age. I don't know if people could do this.
Look, I know a few couples actually where the wife was in a position that you're in, and she after a couple of kids and go get a boob job, and then guess what? She divorces the husband because she's been meeting guys, because she's getting attention from these guys that she wasn't getting attention from before, and left the husband and put him in a position where he's got child support, alimony, because she went and got some boobs.
I have a question for you. Does your wife have a Facebook page with a picture of her with fish lips?
I don't think so.
Okay. Not that you know of.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
or a Tinder account.
All right. We live in an age where there is this tremendous access, and as we all do, women are no different. Everyone's looking for attention to some degree. Sometimes I think women may be more, especially in this day and age. And I see all these chicks in my Facebook feed. These are fucking professionals.
Yeah.
Who are like putting up bikini pics and pics of them, you know. These are married women or women who say they're in relationships, and all they want to do is be called beautiful. And I mean, it's just, this is a horrible thing to say, but I mean, they would be considered, I would say, I don't know, attention whores? Joe?
Yeah.
Or just whores?
No, whatever. No, we don't know if they're whores. They want attention. So it's just a different world, you know. There's just so much access to.
That was my Bill Burr moment.
There's just so much access to, you know, people, to opportunity, and you have that access too. And now you feel that you have that access even more, and it could be because you're more confident about your looks, and you may be better looking now that you have more hair, and you're able to, you know, you feel like you have more game. That's just the reality of it, dude. So you got to just figure it out. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You love your wife. You want to stay with her. You stay with her. You know, and be happy that you're getting more attention from women.
How long were you with her before you got married?
About like 4 years.
Okay, so you got 5 years invested in this.
Now, whose idea was it to get married?
It was mostly her, but I mean, I kind of wanted a kid too. I thought I better just kind of pull the trigger on that.
And do you guys have a kid?
Yeah, well, on the way, yeah.
You have a kid on the way. You're calling the hair loss show to tell us how much tail you can get now that you have hair.
Yeah.
And you're asking our opinion about that. Dude, you're done. This is it. This is your opportunity. You got to either wait to you got to wait till that kid is out of high school.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, I think so.
You sealed your fate.
Yeah.
You sealed your fate.
You have to become a porn sexual now.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I think so.
Yeah. So, you know, good luck with that.
Best thing you can do.
Let us know when she puts the weight on and cuts her hair.
Go down to the basement. Convert it into your man cave with a padlock or a combination lock that she can't come down to, where you can go build the world's largest porn collection.
You don't have to anymore, dude. That's an old school thing. You don't need a porn collection.
Metaphorically, come on. So he can go down and do his thing.
I thought you were going to tell him to build a time machine so he can go back in time.
Well, that was the second idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, dude, you sealed your fate. Enjoy it. Enjoy your hair. Enjoy the looks. Enjoy the compliments. But leave it at that.
Yeah, and listen.
Yeah.
Here, the reality is, you know.
Be a solid representation or example for your future kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, are you happy with your wife? Because you're already talking like you're not that happy.
Pause.
There's pluses and minuses, I guess I would say. Yeah.
What are the minuses?
It's a year in. There are pluses and minuses.
I think, you know, this is a weird thing. Maybe there's a bit of like a attraction gap at this point that there wasn't 3 years ago.
So now you are the hot one in the couple.
I think probably, yeah.
Yeah.
When it used to be more about, I'm not saying I'm like hot, but I think, you know,
you're hotter than you were.
So, but here's the thing. This is proof positive that what marriage is about, man. I mean, people are getting married so that they could have, and if you could turn on your computer or whatever you're listening to the show on, that'd be great. People are getting married so they can have sex on the regular. They feel like they're going to lock somebody in. The best person they can, or the best person they could afford, or the best person they could attract, you know. And that's it. It's all about that, as opposed to why you should really be getting married.
Did she get fat?
Well, there's a kid on the way, so I mean, inevitably, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of.
All right.
But yeah.
You got the
So
the swollen ankles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's hot.
And the incredibly positive attitude.
Yeah. Listen, dude, you're in it. It could end up being a great relationship, and you could have a lifelong partner that you could really. You just have to have that mindset, dude. You got to get your mind out of the fucking gutter. If you're
Just
gonna be
understand
married.
this, okay? Make the best of this that you can, because you got the rest of your life to deal with it. Okay? Don't think about the young tail turning around.
Yeah.
I can't even say it with this. Yeah. I'm sorry. Just you're in a position where you I mean, you got the kid coming. You're a year into this. I think that you need to strap in.
Like, if you didn't have the kid coming, I would say if you're feeling this way already, you might want to have a sit down with your wife.
Yeah.
But now that you guys are pregnant, and that's what they say in this day and age, that you guys are pregnant when you guys are not pregnant. She's pregnant, but it's your child, hopefully. And I would still get a DNA test, just to be sure, especially if you're thinking like this. But look, here's the good news. You had a great hair transplant.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel better about yourself. And that's it. You know, it's certainly an interesting call, and I think that it speaks to really the way people think in general. And, you know, I think people get married for the wrong reasons most of the time. Not saying you did, but you're kind of telling us that you did. Because now that you're concerned about the hotness discrepancy, you know, that means, you know, you weren't, you didn't marry her because she's brilliant. You know?
Well, I would say actually those are that's the good parts, you know, is that. And
we're
guys. I don't give a shit what their IQ is. I mean, that's only if, like, you're in front of people.
Look, this is what you need to do, okay? You need to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and draw a line down the middle of the paper, and the top of the left-hand corner, pros, top of right-hand corner, cons, and go down each side and list out the pros and cons. And then when you're done, throw it away, even though the cons far outweigh the pros, and stick with it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you made your bed. You got a kid coming. Make the best of it.
And remember, strip clubs are not cheating.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Good point.
Well, I guess I didn't really have a question. It was just a kind of odd experience, and maybe someone else can.
You just want to hear yourself say it all.
You need to vent. You're having these feelings, and I think they're interesting feelings. They're very real, dude.
Who do you bring this up to? You know.
The hair loss dudes.
Who else are you gonna call?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Look, I feel for you. I really do, and I'm honored and disturbed at the same time that you decided to give us this information. But no, I understand. You know, you want to vent, and who else do you have to talk to about it? You can't. Yeah, it makes sense. So
I'll tell you this. I've been known to be obviously the same woman for a very long time. You know, 17, 18 years, and you know, I would say at least 13 were a net gain. I'm just kidding. I mean, you know, it is a choice. I chose not, you know, we chose not to get married. And if you're still together after all that time, you know, or however long you stay together, if you're not actually tied by marriage or a child, that's a pretty positive experience that not too many people get to experience. So I feel very fortunate that I experienced that. You're in it for a year, man. So get happy or figure it out.
Yeah, and look at her as, you know, the thing about this is you have to also go into a marriage or a long-term, you know, lifelong relationship, whatever you want to call it, where you're looking at your partner as a real partner in your life, like to support you and you support them and all that good stuff, and hopefully you guys can build something together. And I don't mean material stuff. I'm talking about, a great life for your kid moving forward, because that's ultimately what matters. Like your life. This is guy talk now. You got to step up. You got to be the man and take care of your kid the right way, and that is making sure that the house itself is in good order.
And make sure you have an emergency fund that she doesn't know about.
Exactly. Yeah. Have a separate bank account.
You gotta have a fucking ripcord, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Prepare it now, dude. You got a prenup?
No.
All right, I'm gonna hang up.
Okay.
All right, man. Good call. All right, good luck.
Thanks for calling us,
Thanks
buddy.
for
Keep
calling.
us updated.
All right, good luck.
Okay, sir.
Okay, take care.
All right,
Bye-bye. Jesus, poor
Holy
guy.
shit. Poor guy.
Well, here's the thing. Eventually, those feelings will, if it's just about getting laid, unless he's not enjoying what he's getting at home at all, then it's okay. I mean, if he's enjoying it to some degree.
If he's getting any at home.
Yeah, but I think he's probably getting some at home. It's a year in.
No, she's pregnant. He's not. She's getting big. No, it's not happening. So, sorry, dude. What do you do?
That's what you got to go with the sisters. They don't care if they're fat. They understand about the hair thing. Because you can't touch their hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't touch theirs.
Anyway, all right, guys, let's call.
I want to say this before we shut this down. First off, thanks everyone for watching. But the guys out there in the chat room and outside the chat room that are watching that have been emailing me, I haven't responded because I'm busy as fuck.
Yeah, we do the show twice a week now. Also,
so with that said, I apologize if I've not gotten back to you, but deal with it. I will get back to you as soon as I can. It'll probably be a few more days, but I got some projects I'm working on. It is very busy, and I'm getting like this massive influx of emails anyway, so it's a lot of time. So if you don't hear from me, don't send me 5 emails saying, "Did you get my email? Did you get my email? Why aren't you responding?" That doesn't help. So with that said, I hand it back to Spencer.
Call the show also.
Exactly.
If you have a question and you want to get Joe's attention right away, try calling the show and getting in.
You actually have a higher chance of talking to me on the phone than getting an email at this point.
Right. I mean, on the show phone.
The show? Yeah, there you go.
All right, guys, listen.
It's funny.
Listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure. Nice, lively show tonight. We will be live on Friday if I choose not to go out this week.
Yeah, exactly.
And fuck myself up. Let me give out the websites. Joe's website is hairtransplantmentor.com. You can learn more about Joe Tillman, the original hair transplant mentor, why he's sitting in the chair that he's sitting in right now as the co-host of this program, even though I swore I would never have another co-host again. But
how long ago did you swear that? That was what?
A decade ago.
That was when... Wait, that was when Dave left?
Yeah, more than a decade ago. Yeah. I was like, this will
that
never
was like 13 years ago.
happen again. But no, Joe's place in this program is very important. He provides perspective that I do not have, being a 9-time hair transplant recipient himself.
It's not something to brag about.
And actually working specifically in the trenches with, a group of doctors, whereas my perspective is much different. I've been dealing with hearing your stories, complaints, getting information about your experiences through the American Hair Loss Association, the IHRS, and the Bald Truth for 20 years. And so I think while he had more of a narrow experience at the beginning, I had more of a broader experience at the beginning. Merging our perspectives has been very powerful for the show. So Joe's website, hairtransplantmentor.com. Check out his experience. He doesn't want you to ask him any more questions through the site, so call the show. You can check out thebaldtruth.com, which honestly I have not updated since the Civil War. I don't think we put up anything for like 2 weeks or something like that. We will start to put up the archives of this broadcast again, but you could also see full archives on Joe's page, full archives on GFQ Network or GFQnetwork.com, or I'm sorry, guysfromqueens.com. Also, we'll be putting up the archives or the podcast on iTunes. So subscribe to iTunes as well. If you want to download the show and just listen on your phone, then that's a great way to do it. Everything you subscribe to, every bell you ring, everything you do, it helps what we do, and it helps your fellow hair loss sufferers. We're here for you guys. We're doing this for nothing. So, for
now,
do us a favor. And I've been providing a free service for well over 20 years now to the consumer. So, but yeah, for now, maybe we'll change that shit. Maybe it's time.
Might be.
You have to check the optics. But anyway, guys, the American Hair Loss Association, AmericanHairLoss.org, the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, which is IAHRS.org. If you're considering hair transplant surgery, check with the IAHRS first. Remember, though, it's just a group of doctors who are doing some of the best work in the world, which is great. That's why they're there. But every doctor in this industry has at least one unhappy patient. So it's cosmetic surgery. You have to be prepared for the worst case scenario when you go in and decide to undergo it. And most people aren't. Let's see what else. BaldTruthTalk.com. That's our message forum. Check us out on the message forum. If you have surgical experience, want to talk about your experience, want to share your images, it's a great place to interact with other people and to share your experiences. That's why people go there, also to vent and to talk about anything and everything hair loss. Joe, talk about hair loss experiences, actually, which is another message forum that airs this broadcast for us.
Yeah, they're kind enough to let us stream through their online property, hairlossexperiences.com. Great forum run by great people that get it. They understand it. They're a pleasure for us to work with. I deal with them. I'm on their forum answering questions. I'm on Bald Truth Talk answering questions. And they share a like-minded approach to the online world as Spencer and I do. And they're sane. They're normal people, and we like that. So go over there and check them out. Let them know you appreciate them.
Yeah, I would say, I would say probably the most normal guy in this business, besides
us,
you and I, and a couple of other people, but
because we're normal.
Well, as far as I should say, as far as I'm not well, but as far as, someone in the industry, someone who runs a forum, who owns a forum, I mean, this guy he's not, nothing is fear-based. He's not concerned about working with other good guys in the field to get the message out there.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. Sadly, that's not the way most people in this industry operate. All right, guys, until Friday, which is next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always down and out about their